Hi everyone, Nishka here from EurekaCrystalBeads.com with another fun tutorial for you. Before I get started, quick reminder, go check out the rest of our channel, and if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you always know when we got fun new stuff on the channel. Okay, so for today's project, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We are going to be adding rhinestones to a leotard. So this is going to be a tutorial to basically show you how you can use our flatback rhinestones to add to anything you desire. You don't have to have a leotard to do this project. You can use anything your heart desires. Add a little bling to your handbag, add a little bling to sandals for summer. There's so many things you can do. Anything that you think could use a little bit of bling, you can use our flatback rhinestones along with just a little bit of glue and make it sparkly. Just like I have done on this leotard. Isn't this so pretty? So I'm just going to show you all the things that you need to get started, and then I'll give you a quick tutorial for how to add these on properly, how to make them stay, and basic design ideas for what you can do with them. Okay, so the items that you'll need to complete this project, first and foremost, you are going to need some flatback rhinestones. So I am using 3 different sizes. It's really up to you how you want to design this. There's so much creativity that you can throw into this. You can use only the little ones. You can use only big ones. I like to mix it up. So I'll be showing you these 3 different sizes. We actually have more than this. We offer about 5 different sizes of rhinestones, but I picked out the biggest, widest range here. This first one is SS34. So you can see it's kind of big, kind of chunky, and that's kind of about 7.5 millimeters, roughly. And this is the largest size that we offer, so it's like very blingy. We're using the Crystal AB today. We have a bunch of different color options, but I thought this one was the most vibrant and cool. This one is the SS20, and that's about a 5 millimeter, just over 5 millimeters. And you can see right away the size difference here already. And finally, we're going with the really little ones over here, the SS12, and that's kind of around 3 millimeter. So if you want to think about it, 7.5, 5-ish, and 3-ish. It's just like 3.2, something like that. So you can really see the difference in sizes. These are very cool flatback rhinestones from Crystal Lane by John Bead. And they come in these like little packets like this. So you get a whole bunch of them and you can use them to your heart's content. The other thing that you will need is some kind of glue for your project. I'm using the Hypo Cement, the fabric one. We also offer a few other different options. I find this one is the best, and I'll tell you why. I bought this 4 years ago, and anybody who's worked with glue knows using one little tube of glue for that long of a period without it getting solid and totally turning into trash is amazing. So I really love this glue, especially because it lasts and you don't end up throwing away half-finished tubes because you haven't opened them in a while. It also has a pinpoint applicator, which I will show you. It's good for fabric, paper, plastic, costuming, everything under the sun. So just love the GS Hypo Cement. And I'm also using this tool. This is a rhinestone picker-upper tool. I actually think this one is called Pickup Artist, which, okay. It's really cool to get your rhinestones just picked up easily without having to fiddle around with them with your bare hands. And it has these 2 little like positioning arms, which you can use to press down onto your stone on the fabric so that you don't have to get glue on your hands. It also has this neat little scooper thing if you have like a big well of rhinestones. I prefer using these triangle trays because I'm just used to that. And finally, most importantly, you're going to need the item that you are bedazzling or rhinestoning. And I suggest starting out the first few times just using a scrap of fabric and going along, just getting a feel for what you are doing and a sense for how you want to design your piece. But for this demonstration, I'm actually going to be using a leotard that I have, and I am going to show that to you. The first thing you'll notice is that the leotard needs to be stretched on a board. I'm actually just using a cork board that I haven't opened up yet. You can use cardboard, you can use anything. We're going to be bedazzling around the collar here. So we're just going to move along through here. And this is a 90% nylon leotard, and it's 10% spandex. And this is Capezio brand, which is one of the main dance brands if you're not familiar. And shout out to discountdance.com, which is where I always get my leotards. All right, let's get started with the project. All right, so the first thing you want to do is you want to position your leotard in a way so that you have easy access to it and it's easy to work with. I find horizontally is best for me. You are going to want to get your crystals all set up around, and your glue and your picker-upper tool. So I also forgot to mention earlier, it's good to have a piece of cardboard that you can use for glue and picking up things. And some toothpicks are also useful, not strictly necessary, but it's always good to have a little bit of help with glue. The first thing we're going to do is now we're going to open up our glue, and I'll just show you how awesome this glue is. It's hard to open. If you do have trouble opening your glue, you can always use some jewelry pliers to gently get that open. And then this cap has this amazing needle situation going on, and I think that's clutch. That makes the big difference. Just going to put that aside. Try not to get any glue where you don't want it. And then we have this beautiful applicator. It's already beading a little bit of glue right here. So why not use this opportunity to get that glue right where we want it? And I've already decided on the pattern I'm going to do. Sometimes before you open your glue, it's good to plan out what you're doing. But I'm definitely always like starting with the very big stones and putting the little ones around. So I've put it in place, and I'm using my tool to press gently and hold it in place for a moment. So what I'm going to do is do large stones all along the collar, and then put the little ones around and in between and sort of shimmering downwards. If you want something a little bit more specific, like a spiral, it is good to draw it out. You can draw it in pencil, anything that's washable. You can use chalk, which I think is pretty common for seamstresses to use, and it will wash right out. So here's our next location. Sometimes you have to roll the tool off because it's so sticky. Let me see what I'm doing. I'm using this arm to press right down on it. And there will be threads. That happens. It's expected. So I did a little test section of this leotard, and I wore it multiple times. I washed it, of course, by hand, and everything has stayed on beautifully. I haven't had a single rhinestone loss. So it's been tested and approved. What's so fun about this stuff is that you can really, now that you have your rhinestones and your crystallizing skills, you can add bling to anything. Think about shoes, summer sandals, just add a little touch, a little bling. It doesn't have to be, you know, so big that it looks like you're performing on Broadway, but just a little bit of sparkle goes a really long way and adds so much to your outfit. And as soon, spring is just around the corner, we're going to be heading out, walking around in the sunshine, and you really want to take that advantage of that, right? You want that sun to glitter off everything. These really small rhinestones also are very good for nail art and jewelry, although you'd have to use a different kind of glue that's specific to that application. Okay, so I've added all of my large stones as far as I want them. And now I'm going to start adding the medium-sized stones. Same way as before. Use the pickup tool and press down. And these medium-sized stones, I'm going to just go kind of, see here, 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 kind of in between. And I'll have them go a little bit further up the collar than I did with the large stones. So I'll show you here how far I went. This is a very basic, simple, and easy design, so it's a really good one for a first time bedazzling, and the effect is going to be gorgeous. It doesn't take too much time and effort in planning, and you could also bedazzle the whole piece, and usually what you see people do in that case is a stone every few inches in a grid or an overlocking type grid. And that requires a little more planning and a little bit more measuring because you don't want them haphazardly distributed. They need to be even for a nice effect. I like this way where you have heavy, heavy stones towards the front and center, and then they get smaller and thinner towards the shoulders and also towards the chest area. And then I can kind of just eye it, add a stone where there seems to be room for one. So I'm just going to keep going, adding these stones, and I'll show you how it looks after that. Okay, so I have a nice distribution of the large and medium-sized stones here. Now I'm going to fill in with the very little ones. So again, use your best judgment and your eye to decide where you'd like to put the little stones. I'm going to be using the little arm. And fill in as you go. Anywhere there seems like you need a little more bling, you can fill in with a tiny crystal. Okay, so here's our finished project. As you can see, I added the little crystals in among the larger stones towards the collar. And then as we moved out, I was just using the little crystals in this like vaguely alternating pattern where I would have some space between two, and then the next layer, I'd put the one in the middle, sort of like a kind of a brick style. So you can obviously make your design choices any way you like. This is just a very basic tutorial to show you how to add crystals to basically anything. Here we're using a pretty leotard and make it your own. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, something a little bit different than what we normally do, but definitely really fun to get into and to play around with some of our flatback crystals from Crystal Lane. So they're very sparkly and you are going to have a lot of fun.